we go. Oh no, no, we're on the show. But oh, have we popped in? Can you see me? Am I live where you're sitting? Am I right there in front of your screen? Can you hear the things I am saying, man? Alright, I'm saying these words. I'm coming out fast. I'm saying them twice. I don't have a clue how long this will last. We're syncing up the servers, getting everything situated. We want things to be allocated. We want to see the things pop in and go. We want to see absolutely everything so I can say, welcome to the show. Alright, everybody, welcome to the show. It is 30 Changes Perspectives, and pretty much we have just begun. It is getting a little bit tricky right here at the beginning, but we got it coming in. Don't worry, it's showing up all the same, my friend. And you saw what we said. Yes, we're talking about using Bitcoin uncensorably, because everyone says Bitcoin is censorship resistant. But do you know how to use Bitcoin like that? We have gone over in previous episodes like how to use Bitcoin on chain to have censorship resistance and other things like that. So we've definitely attempted to cover it or have covered it in some form. But with the very recent outcoming of like the ledger software containing the master key that's used to generate all keys by all of their products inside of all their products, well, it just kind of shows it's not your keys after all. So I really think we need to change our perspectives on terminal so we can use Bitcoin in the most basic way possible. And, well, I think it's about time we get more things rolling.
first layer, like for the key wrapping, is it still the passphrase, or is it kind of the like a separate layer of encryption? Is it still passphrase encrypted or not?
This is a master. This is a master key that is held by Ledger. The first one. The first wrapping one is a master key held by Ledger.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So the second question that comes after that is that so that master key is that particular key. Obviously, that particular key is available in all the Ledger devices. So I wanted to know, like, that particular key is also available with Ledger the company, or is it not?
So yeah, this master key is stored within the operating system of different Ledger devices, and at Ledger we have a specific key ceremony process that allows us business continuity in order to make sure that we don't lose key, but there is no one single point of failure at Ledger. We have different quorum in order to manage these keys and so on. I won't get into these details, but at Ledger we are using Ledger devices with like Shamir secret sharing again in order to create, to do firmware updates and also to manage these symmetric keys.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all. Let's see if we can get my, oh yeah, there we go. That's, he literally said all of our keys are in all of the software. It means everybody has access to everybody's keys right now if you own Ledger software. This is why it's always been about self-custody. It's always been about doing things yourself. Ledger is not really secure enclave. It never has been. And that's why we're doing today's episode. We want to show you a bit more of how to gain that extra security. Because it gets kind of scary. It's like, what do? You got tons of people who are relying on this device, and now you find out, oh, well, you just kind of gave away all your money, bro. Well, let's explain the terminal. Let's go through a brief history, fast. Why are we talking about this? I don't really want to teach it. I just want to kind of give you an idea of why we need to use the command line. So, world of operating systems basically came down to we needed to run stuff. Unix. Yes, Unix. It was the people that developed the way to come out with some kind of operating system. They were the operating system developed by Bell Labs in 1960. Cool. That's about as much as you need to know about Unix. Unix is an insanely fun thing to try to mess with if you're into that kind of stuff. And I remember used to try and put like Unix on a system to get a better Linux on a system to get stuff going on old systems where you're down to just a brick of metal. Unix can get things to come to life. Now we have other ways to do that. So, and that's kind of what they're talking about. Like that's how we get to Linux, new kernels, and everything that we're going to have from this point on. So this is a really key thing that we want to look at. This kind of explains what's going on. You have applications on the top, right? You have applications up there, right? And then we have the kernel, and then we have something called a CPU, the memory, and the devices. So the applications talk to something that then talks to the actual hardware. Okay, so that's what an operating system does. Operating system contains this kernel that can talk to the CPU, the memory, and the actual devices that may be connected to it. That's what's up. Now, if we want to look at this in a different way, we can look at it like this: is a ring. We have in the middle the kernel, then we have a shell on the outside, and then application. So kernel is like ring 0. It is the center, and then shell is the first actual ring, shell ring 1, and then applications ring 2, and then there's other things on top of that, ring 3, and on top of that ring, and we can keep going and going and going. So we're gonna say terms throughout this. You might see terms like ring, and then we're talking something like this. Or we might say kernel, and we're talking about the thing inside the operating system that allows us to talk to the device. Now that we got that basic, let's go into shell. Shell is a thing that talks to the operating system that then talks to the kernel that talks to the device. Shells kind of how applications talk to it, but we can talk to the shell with a terminal. So we talk with the terminal to the shell to talk to the operating system. Okay, that's not too bad. That's why we need the terminal, so we can directly speak to the operating system or to talk to the computer directly. Now, if not, I'm talking like actual memory, things that's on there, talking to the device. Like right now, I'm actually running a cell phone for one of the cameras. You guys are looking at me right now. It's the one that's actually handling my face. That's why sometimes my mouth kind of stops. But I do have these extra controls where I'm like, wah, wah, wah. Oh, what a. And we can kind of keep that moving. But what the point of it is it's that cell phone has permission to talk to one of the rings beyond the application. Or actually, the application it's talking to has the way to talk to the kernel. So it has ring 1 access. Or ring 0 access or something like that, right? Let's go back and look real fast. What was it? Ring 0, ring 1. Kernel, ring 0 access. We want to use terminal to have ring 1 access. So we can see a whole bunch of fun stuff on here. I don't really want to... Actually, you know what? I just realized I have not been giving you guys QRs. Follow along. Scan the QRs. These are for people catching up later on after the show. They're gonna want to have these QRs so they can figure out where we're going. There might even be some descriptions in the YouTube that might have some kind of links. Or you can follow these QRs. So if you want to know where I'm at right now, there's a Q on the top right-hand screen. Scan it, and let's go. So what we're talking about is there's tons of operating systems, and this kind of lets you see when was it made and different things. Where you can kind of see like what it allows and what it doesn't allow. Like I actually have a computer that has an operating system that does not allow me to use a mouse. It's insane, but it does exist. And as we keep going, this is just going to be a whole bunch of different ways to define your operating system. For example, we have tons of features. Remember, we talked about functions versus features. So if you want an operating system with less features to keep down the problematic situations, you can find one. And we really want to go in. They have these really neat GIFs that kind of show you the operating systems, or actually better yet, the terminal shell. And, well, we can see these people are talking on the command line. You see what they look like. You see, as we go down, we're going to see a few more of these. So here's one you might see on Windows. Here's a PowerShell, as it's called. You know, this is blue instead of black, kind of different colorings. It's got a drop-down menu. It's kind of a little bit more feature-rich. Yeah. As we keep scrolling down, here's a different one. This one's feature-rich. Even shows you what you're typing. But it looks completely different. Okay, now this is one you might see on like Telnet or something like that. Telephone networks. I think that was it. And then we got more of these. So if you really want to come find some really neat stuff about your operating system, this is going to be the place to go. Let me get you that link again, broses. But now that you've seen some you've seen some terminals, you've seen some people typing in the command line, and you've seen what your command line might actually show you. One of those three is possible for your command line on your computer, your phone, or your laptop, or even maybe even your tablet if you got a good enough tablet. Excuse me, I'm drinking some coffee. So we're going to keep moving because now that you guys have seen it, we need to really jump into it. Okay, so because we are like directly talking to the computer, this is normally why it's scary. I get it. But I just want to give you the tools to be able to use these. So we're going to actually give you guys like copy pasta websites where you can copy and paste your way through the terminal to either use Bitcoin or the terminal itself for 3 major operating systems, I said. And we're going to get started right here. We're going to... you guys scan that yet? Did you scan that yet? I hope you did. So here's some differences between the console, the command line, and the terminal and the shell. Just so you can have an understanding. And I'm going to mess these up because I'm old school. I actually grew up in the timeline where I thought the shell was actually the computer shell. So, yeah. So let's figure it out together, brusses. The console is actually the computer shell. Oh, that's the physical device. Okay. The terminal is this window wrapper thing. It's the application. Okay. The shell is the thing inside this application that listens to what we put in the command line and then outputs information, results, and such and such. It's kind of how we talk to the operating system. We saw that earlier. Yeah. And then the command line is this funky little thing right here where we actually do this typing thing. Let's see if I can get my fingers to work today. And do this typing thing. Yeah. So, okay, the command line is where we type. And that is going to allow us to talk to the shell that's inside the terminal that is the console or our device. Easy peasy. And that's kind of the whole point of everything I'm doing. I'm trying to give you guys the simplest, easiest way to handle this stuff so you guys can actually, because we got to do this for more than one thing. So, let me put it to you this way. It's actually way easier than it sounds. You just got to try it. So we're going to give you the easiest ways to do it. Here you go, running a full Bitcoin node, going to bitcoin.org, just giving you the straight information directly as it is. If you look over here, right, see some bullet points? Okay. In these bullet points, you're going to go through and find anything that you majorly need. Right there. If you can't find it in there, it might be mixed in. So you might need to figure out whatever you're talking about and break it down to a basic information, and that might tell you what it is right here. So what we're going to do is I really want to point out this video. Okay, so what we're going to end up doing is basically run some kind of node. Being a full node, probably your best option. So there it is. There is a video on how to set up full nodes. Just QR. There it is. Watch it. Learn from video, bro. There's a whole lot of information on here. I'm not going to go through it. I do want to point out something you're going to see quite often. Minimum requirements. Quite often 7+ gigabytes, because basically what happens is as we continue on, you're getting more and more and more and more. But you can bring your system down to about 7, or it's like 6.5 gigabytes. So this allows you a small amount of retainer information for like maybe your personal actual data and stuff, your setup and other things like that. But then everything else is going to be pruned down to the last 6.5 gigabytes of information. Normally I would do like 6 gigabytes and then do 3/4 gigabyte information of redundant for stuff that I really need, and then 1/4 gigabyte of you know, configurations, logs, little things like that. But you also need a good write speed. That is a good point. You do need a good write speed. So a lot of times you're going to need an SSD versus an HDD. But only 2 gigabytes of RAM. This is something a lot of people don't get. A lot of computers, especially during like the big block, small block argument, there were still tons of miners and nodes that only had a maximum of 2 gigabyte RAM. So you can run Bitcoin basically on 1.25 gigabytes of RAM with some access random memory that you can use for processing ports in, out, and different things. But it totals up to about, round up, 2 gigabytes of RAM in total what you're actually using. And if you notice, they want you to have a broadband spectrum connection of about 50 kilobytes per second. I know that's actually a pretty decent amount of speed, but tons of your phones can handle that just fine. At one point in time, I was running 3 phones to be able to run on, I think we were running 8 different chains, so it's quite possible. And that means I was running 3 different phone lines to get on 8 chains, and those are cell phone lines, not traditional line lines. Those are slower. Cell phone lines can get much better. So other things you're going to see quite often, initial block download. This is the starting, getting your back data, getting your information of knowing where we're at, stuff like that, basically syncing your wallets. And then the actual processes. Okay, so those are the main basic things. We're going to be setting up a node. We're going to be syncing that node. And we're going to be setting up a node, setting up your wallet, syncing. Got it? Good. We're moving. So basically, there's this one for developers, And I know, yeah, I'm a developer, blah, 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 blah. But believe it or not, I always tell people go here. Sure, the information is more blunt. You might have to look up words to figure out what you're doing. But most stuff, as you see, is just clickable. If you don't know, right click, open a new tab. Boom, information. Go back. You're not lost. You're still where you're at. And a lot of this looks really confusing. Like, there's three major programs: Bitcoin, Bitcoin QT, Bitcoin CLI. So Bitcoin is basically like your Bitcoin client. Bitcoin QT is what people mostly know as the Bitcoin client. And then your Bitcoin CLI is for the command line operating thing. So when it comes down to it, Bitcoin is going to be dropping down and be using these things. So Bitcoin QT provides a combination of full Bitcoin peer to end wallet front end. This allows you to communicate with it. That's why I said this is what people know as Bitcoin wallet. No, the Bitcoin part. So from the help menu, you can use access control panel and RPC commands and use throughout this document. So these RPC commands, something you can do inside here, you can find throughout this document. Cool. Bitcoin is the more useful programming. It actually is full peer, which you can interact through on specific things. So basically, it's like a back-end way to communicate with the same thing. And Bitcoin client, it allows you to send these commands to the Bitcoin from the command line. So it just basically allows you to use Bitcoin from the command line. Bitcoin is another way to communicate with Bitcoin QT. Therefore, boom, we all have a way to interact together, the whole system. It's interoperable with itself, and we talk to it. That's the whole point. Okay, so depending if you're on Windows, OS X, Mac, Apple, or Linux. So Windows, Mac, Apple, Linux. I'm sorry. Windows, Mac, Apple, Linux. That's how you find Bitcoin or Bitcoin.conf, the Bitcoin application directory. See right there. So there's very basic information. You see there's more information on the left. There's tons. Okay? But we wanted to get out this whole point that there's three ways to talk to Bitcoin on a device. And depending on which operating system we have, it looks completely different on how we talk to it. But in short, it's all basically the same thing. We're going to some point at home, which the app data, believe it or not, is the app data home. And then we're finding Bitcoin. Okay. Pretty simple. Okay, so I'll gift you the next one. I saw this and I was like, this is normally how you find this statement. Tons of people I've asked where they're like, I downloaded Bitcoin, I can't find it. But there are a few people they want to know specifically from the command line. And you see they're looking for the get port Bitcoin, get info in Linux from Windows. And they're like, what do I do? So there's a couple of really good answers here. So I wanted to go over this. So here they straight up tell you Bitcoin get info in Linux or Bitcoin /-h in Windows. And they even kind of show you what it looks like. So pretty neat. And then this one right here, as you see, it says if it's QT, go to Help, Debug Window, Console. Type the RPC command here. Or go to command line to the folder Bitcoin daemon is in and run the command line from the Bitcoin exe. Note you may need to add server equals 1, and that's something you'll have to figure out eventually if you're going to be doing it that way. But it just points out that there's not one way to do this. There's this way. There's this way, which is also two different ways. I mean, like, okay. So there may be more than one way to do all of this. So keep that in mind as you're looking and you see one site saying, hey, look, bro, you do it this way. And you see another site and say, no, bro, you do it this way. Both might work. So don't let the confusion scare you. It's part of the process to weed out those who are unable to hold the responsibility. Something a lot of people don't agree with, but it just naturally flows and it naturally works, so we just naturally use it. Okay, so if you're running specifically Windows 11 and 10, or 10 or 11, this site's going to get you there. They're going to prepare your computer. They're going to set you up to install the Bitcoin software. You're going to get your node configured. You're going to start your node. Then you're going to get your wallet. You're going to sync your wallet. Installation, configuration, performance. So they even know the issues here. Cool. So if you're wondering how did that get you going, this actually tells you exactly what to do. It doesn't have anything linked. Make sure your computer meets the system requirements for Bitcoin node. We looked at that earlier. Remember? Right here. We know how to find that. Download and install the Bitcoin software. We'll get there. Configure your Bitcoin node to suit your needs. That's up to you. That's going to require you to do some research. Or just run it. Start your Bitcoin node and begin contributing to the Bitcoin network. A lot of people just go to that part and figure out configuration later. And then here, if you're having troubles installing the Bitcoin software, make sure you're downloading it from a trusted source that meets your computer requirements. We'll get to that. If your node isn't working correctly, check your configuration settings. You may need to adjust your firewall or port forwarding settings. Actually, important information. If your node is running slow, you may need to optimize your Windows settings or upgrade your hardware. Very important information. Sometimes your hardware just needs upped. So, back to Bitcoin developer. We want to refer back here, because like we said, I mean, all the information you need right here. And let's see, we can either compile from source or from a pre-compiled executable. No, so I mean, like I said, it's all here. We just have to click the links and continue on. And well, that's how we got here. To downloading the Bitcoin thing from a trusted source. Right here. I mean, can I pull out one of these eggs? Do the eggs actually come out of my head? No, the eggs don't come out. But go over there. Look. Windows, Mac. Now you might need to figure out which Mac you got, an ARM or an x64. I don't know which one you got, bro. Linux. You're gonna have to figure out which Linux you got, bro. I ain't know which one you got, bro. But that's the whole point. I'm just saying that we got them all here. We can even verify our signatures, download a torrent. Remember torrent? Yeah, you can actually download it here. Boop. Just click it, and boom. And then click that, and boom. You'll be downloading it through torrent. And if you watched that episode, then you already got torrent client, and you already know what you're doing. So, congratulations, it's paying off another time. Let's keep going, because, like, there's a lot to go through here. We got 3 operating systems to go through. So, again, if you forgot what we're talking about, these are the requirements. In an unmeter connection, you know, there's more information here than I actually explained, but I just wanted to remind you guys, it's here. So, you're probably thinking, there's not any other way to get Bitcoin. Nah. How about, guess what? Someone, I don't know who, probably the person who actually wrote this, I'm sure it says their name, like, somewhere, I don't know. I'm thinking it's somewhere over that way. Over there. On this page, it tells you who wrote an entire book about using Bitcoin through the command line on GitHub. That means this is a free book, Learning Bitcoin from the command line 2.2.0. I like that number. By Christopher Allen and Shannon Appleheim. Learning Bitcoin from the command line. Legitimately a free book in 3 different languages. Right here. Each one of these, you click it to read it. Free book. Click it to read it. And there you go. And there you go. You click it to read it. So everything's broken down into small sections, so you never feel overwhelmed at any point in time. And everything, again, copy, and you're ready to try it. So you can do this as you go. As you go through the book, while you're on the side I'm scrolling, as you go through the book, you can kind of copy and paste and play with it and do the thing and live try and test. I really like this. Really appreciate these people for putting it up, for doing this, and I wanted to give them a shout out because this is awesome. Actually, I don't have money. I didn't click that. I wanted to click this. So we're gonna keep on going because did you know that on Mac you already got the Bitcoin white paper? If you own a Mac, you got the Bitcoin white paper. If you own a Mac, you have the Bitcoin white paper. I'm just gonna say it like that another time. If you own a Mac, you have the Bitcoin white paper. So here's how you get to it using the terminal, which is on your Mac. To access terminal on your Mac, simply go to the applications folder, click on utilities, and there it is, bro. Click on terminal, and you'll see this. So you just need to simply open this big thing right here. Simple doc.pdf. Oh. You can actually just search on your Finder for simple doc.pdf. Right there. You search for that on Finder and it should pop up. Simply click on it and Viola, there you go. Mac users already got to step up, bro. Built in. How come Linux doesn't even do that? Well, since you're on the Mac, we're talking about Mac. Let's continue with Mac. Mac, we said you needed the option. Here you go. Playing with Bitcoin, running a full node on Mac. This says it's for developers. They keep it as simple as possible, bro. Click that. Look, get homebrew. Click that. You need that. Click this. And you remember that terminal? That's where you're pasting it. How to configure? They got you. They got you. They got you. Make payments to various. They got you. They got you. Test stuff. Play. Learn as you go. Do stuff on testnet first. Free bumping. All sorts of different stuff, bro. Like fee bumping. If you don't know, that's like trying to put more on a fee to try to get a faster send if it's not sending. Try to get out of situations. So, yep. All sorts of different things, bro. So they got you there. It's simply click it, paste it, and go on. Okay, so now we got to kind of go to Linux. We're just talking about Mac. Mac is like a Linux, or it's runs on some form of Linux, or Unix. I think it still runs on Unix. So let's go to Linux. Specifically, Ubuntu. Now, I wanted to, normally most people run Bitcoin on 16 point something, and I ran it on for a long time on like 18 point something, but those ones have tons of problems. And when I was looking around, a lot of people were saying the current version on Ubuntu 22.04, which I think is one of the most recent, it actually is supposed to be more stable and work better with most devices. And when they say that, they mean that. They mean most devices. So almost any device that you can put this version of Ubuntu on and it runs smooth, Bitcoin gonna run smooth too. So that's pretty nice. Not all of them, but most of them. Again, here we can drop down this space. Here they wanted it up pretty high. Makes sense. They want you to run more full node, right? Full node, you need quite a bit. That's what it says, right? No, it does not say. Full nodes, you need quite a bit. And stable internet connection. So here, they're just going to go through the exact same thing. You're just going to copy, paste in terminal. Although if you're on Linux, you're going to understand this a little bit better, even if you don't really know what you're doing. You're just going to go to, because everything else is simply like this. Everything is built like this for Linux. And you just go top down, just slowly work your way through everything. Make sure before you go from this step to this step, make sure this step actually goes through. Sometimes you might have to search, why didn't this work? And you'll be like, oh, you need to do this other thing. It is what it is. Bitcoin, if you're here for the learning, you're here for the learning, and you're going to be doing it. So what about Dojo? So a lot of people use Dojo for like main computers. I've seen people use Dojo for servers and such. So I figured this might be a good one to cover. And this article here by Mr. Lance Reed, my bad. He does a pretty good job. There's also the Bitcoin Lightning, which I'm not a big fan of, but a lot of people are. So there's your option there. And he kind of explains some basic stuff. This seems more for like a beginner type person, and I really like that because it really is simplified and how to set everything up, and even gives you kind of like what you should be expecting to see. And I really like this. I think more of these should be set up like this. I really wanted that to scroll, just because this really shows you, oh, I got that. Okay, I'm supposed to be getting that. Okay, alright. Now you don't have to just guess at it. And I really like that. So this guy did a great job. I'm actually going to click save this because I want to view that later, bro. The site, I bet's got more magic in here. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to keep going because Dojo, it's actually a fun operating system. So I want to just take a brief moment and let's go to Ask Ubuntu. Okay. Because we said configuring, we'll have to figure it out. So someone asked how to configure it from the console. And I thought, perfect. So yeah. They're asking the question. Here's the answer. You can follow this guide. We'll get to that here in a second. Oh, we've been here. We've been here. Pretty straightforward. If you're logged in as administrator, with sudo access, you may need to log out. Steps, actions, perform, blah, blah, blah. Type this following command. So these guys, they break it down even more to help you out. The rest of them, maybe not so much. This one, I really thought broke it down, simplified it as simple as possible. It's like 5 steps for most machines. Boom, done. Roasted. So, oh wait, hold on. My notes said there was something else in here. It pointed out stuff for like different types of operating systems. I think this is a different type of Linux right here. And I was like, that's different. And then someone was like, bro, I just clicked prune. Which, right here. So it was like, there's another path to it there. Cat snap, so if you're using flat snap packs or whatever. So, completely forgot those were in there. Dang. So again, I wanted to point out this video. This video is going to be helping you out quite a bit. And this is the thing they recommended to just check out. This is the guy they said is pretty straightforward. That they would break down to about 5 steps. So, Bitcoin Core command line interface usage guide. So, there's like a lot of people that just ask simple questions, and here are like simple questions. What is a binary? What's the difference between these? But most importantly, how to actually do stuff is down below. I thought these were working subcategories and such. Maybe we ought to go in and fill them out. But here we go. So there's Linux, broken down to a few steps as possible. Building from source, by the way. Mac OS, building from source, as few steps as possible. And then Windows. Nope, no one has written one for Windows. I do. Sorry, Windows. That's all you get. That's it. That's all you get from Windows. How to tell if it's running. How to set up the print state. A couple commands. And you can see Mac, it's a pain in the ass. Linux, it's super simple. And right there just kind of shows you, I think, what your challenges are in front of you. Windows, your challenges is everything's in front of you is a challenge. Mac, it's just a challenge getting it running. And then Linux, it's pretty straightforward. But what about Debian? Yeah, everybody knows I'm a Debian fanboy. So, well, we got you. Straight up, Debian, here you go. So if you got like a Raspberry Pi or whatever, it's telling you exactly which Linux version to get from the official website, the Bitcoin Core website that we were at earlier. Where was download Bitcoin? Nope. Nope. Yeah, download Bitcoin. And we see, what's that one right there? Yep, that one right there. So that works out. So if you have an ARM Linux, you might need the ARM Linux instead. Like that's a specific processor version. And there's a Debian types that might have ARM. So I would try this one first. If it doesn't work, do the ARM. If you have an ARM specific device, like Raspberry Pi. Alright, so now most people are going to be using Electrum. There are various different wallets, but Electrum is like one of the most basic wallets you can get. I mean, there are more basic ones like the Ian Coleman wallet. And here, this one, they're going to Debian, Ubuntu, Fedora, OpenSUSE, Arch Linux, and in case you're wondering, it's available under MIT for Linux, Windows, OS X, Android. So all their major operating systems, this is available for Electrum, Bitcoin wallet. And it's the most basic one. I run on my phone, run on my computer, run on everything. It's lightweight, fast. You are the Magic Master. Supports all sorts of different stuff. Here's how to get it. Debian, Ubuntu, Linux, Mint, PC, OS X, Cent and Red Hat, Fedora, OpenSUSE, Arch Linux and Majoro. Setting it up. Okay, so now we got it. We gotta set it up. Okay, here's how you start Electrum. Alright, there's also an auto connect feature. Here's how you do that. Here's how you do that. Here's how you do all the new stuff. Here's how you do everything else. Here's what you gotta do next. So this basically tells you how to start your wallet up. And this, believe it or not, almost everything you're doing here, you're gonna be doing for almost any Bitcoin wallet. The steps through, maybe not the code that type in, but the steps. Like, for example, initial setup, doing some kind of auto connect or some kind of initial startup when you start on the computer, naming a default wallet, creating a default wallet, getting in the standards, what kind of things you want. All that stuff is going to work for all the wallets no matter what. It's a great guide to just help you through them. Even if it's not Electrum, as long as it's a basic Bitcoin wallet. You might have to skip some steps and stuff, but you'll figure it out. So how to compile Bitcoin from source. We're already showed you how to do it for already most major systems. I mean, in case you're wondering. Here you go. Although I think this one is mostly Linux. I believe it would work for most things. But yeah, if you're in sort of this kind of thing, here you go. It's nice. It's all there. Alright, so I can't just leave you without knowing how to just use a terminal. So you're going to be pushing and typing and doing this, and you're going to see things that might say, do this or do that, and you might think, should I? Should I type Y? Should I hit Control-C? Well, like here, Control-C and Control-V is not copy and paste in the terminal. So Control-C is used for stopping a running process in most Linux systems. And since Control-C was already taken from stopping command or process, it cannot be used for copy-paste in the command line. You can copy and paste in the terminal. Don't worry, you can still copy it. It's terminal. Again, there is no fixed rule for the copy-paste keyboard shortcut. It always depends on the terminal application you're using and the configuration, because you can change it. The default of Ubuntu for copying is Control-Shift-C and Control-Shift-V. You can also use Control-C to copy text outside the terminal and then paste it using Control-Shift-V. Believe it or not, on a lot of devices that have a mouse, right-click on the mouse or Command-click the mouse, and you'll have a paste option. It's one of my secrets. I've even tried, like, there's some current terminals will let you just select text and then just like click hold and throw it down, like drag and drop. So Control S in the keyboard is save. Yay. Pay attention to the dollar symbol and the brackets in command examples. If you're referring to some online tutorials or documentation, you may see examples with inside brackets. This indicates you need to replace the content along with the brackets. So where it says the brackets right here, search term, you need to just replace that entire thing with brackets and everything with a search term right here, and then you need a space, and then a file name, no brackets, and then when you see anything you see in the commands with the dollar symbol like this, it's not part of the command. Avoid copying with the commands. This is a way for the term to indicate that it is a command, not an output. So this means that you type it in, it's not something the machine outputs to you. So copy the commands one by one and not together. So when they're like this, copy the top one, not all of them at once. You can run multiple commands at once. You have to put this and in the middle. So if you want to do them both at the same time, you have to do that. And exactly what you need differs. There are 3 different ways to do it. You can sometimes it's a semicolon in between, the and, or the or command, which is 2 parallels. So the first one will run the first command and then the second. The and will run command 2 only if command 1 ends successfully. And the or command will run command 2 only if the first one fails. So it simply is command 1 and then command 2. Command 1 and if in line with command 2. Command 1 or command 2. Stop running Linux command. We're run over that. Control C. You need to know this. Control C. You think you hit something, you're not sure if you're doing it right. You did something wrong. Just Control C. Stop it. Clear the terminal. Type in the word clear and you're done. Exiting the terminal. Type in the word to exit. And if you want more, there is actually more here. I didn't go over all of them. I went over the ones I thought you guys were going to need for this. The Ultimate Linux Terminal Cheat Sheet. Yes. Now you too can impress your friends. Yeah, there's all sorts of fun stuff in here, like Control L to clear the screen. TLDR means too long didn't read. Tab your way to glory. You can use tab to get to things you didn't know you could before. Also Alt tab and Control tab. Control Alt tab I think is something too. History. It's not just for textbooks. It's you just push down or up on your keyboard, and it will show you your history. So if you type in something, you don't have to type it in twice. Quick fix for forgotten sudo. Have you ever written a big command line and just realized you forgot to put in sudo? Well, just type in the word sudo, and it will add sudo to your last sudo and then exclamation mark, and it will add sudo to the last command you executed. Nice. I didn't know that. The power of Control A and Control D. Sometimes you need to edit a command line you've already typed out. Instead of using the arrow keys to navigate to a specific point, just Control A to jump to the beginning and Control E to jump to the end. Nice. CD dash. Oh my gosh, this is a game changer. Have you ever typed in a long and complicated directory path and only realized you've forgotten to add the crucial file? Well, fear not, my friend, because the CD-command line is here to save the day. With just 3 simple keystrokes, you can jump back to the previous directory you were in. It's like going back in time with all the messy time travel paradoxes. I don't really get that, but yeah, that does do the trick that he's saying. Ain't got nothing on me with my Control R. Last but not least, let's talk about searching through your command line history. Instead of scrolling through each one, you hit Control R and start typing. It's like reverse Google search for your terminal history. Super handy. Those are things you're going to be using quite often. And a lot of these will work on tons of terminals, so have fun with them. Basic summary of commands. To inspect, it's ls. Yep. Inspect is ls. View content is cat or ls. Differs. Navigate to. Inside files, it's complicated. Folders, it's cd. That's why earlier we saw cd hyphen. It just says, right, go back one cd. So go back one folder. So move or mv. Keep that in mind. mv is move. Copy is cp. So or cp-r for accessing a folder, which means root. Create, it's nano for files. Make directory, mkdir for folders. Delete. This is what I really wanted to show you. Do not, if you're going through stuff and you see someone say, "Yeah, bro, you just have to type in rmdir or rm space hyphen r," it will delete your root directory. So rm or rmdir. So rm means remove. Okay, we now call that delete, but it used to be remove. Rm means remove, and then dir, we saw earlier, means directory. So remove directory, and then rm-r, we know means remove to the root of. Well, that's a folder. Boom. That's stuff you want to stay away from, because you can do it. This is one of the reasons why people get scared about this. Don't get scared. Know what it is. If you know what it is, then people can't trick you into typing in and deleting your computer. And if you got backups, then it never matters. So, well, I said three operating systems, didn't I? Whew, what was I thinking? Oh yeah, diversity. Alright, so using command line arguments for Windows Terminal. So if you're on Windows, you're going to have to do stuff a bit different. And they're going to explain to you kind of how to do that here. Same thing, remember we were talking about brackets, now they're square brackets instead of the other kind of brackets. And they tell you what stuff that you need to know, okay? There you go. Right there. Scan it and go. Learn it. You need to know. Okay, so really good prompt tricks. Again, these are for Windows. This goes all the way back to XP. And this is going to be Windows specific. And this is going to be for the command prompt, not for the PowerShell. So keep that in mind. And have some fun. Because not everyone's going to be using Windows. So, and if you're using Windows, you're using the command prompt versus PowerShell. I think command prompt is better. And you're going to need to know what that means. All the information. They're going to say what it is on the left, and then what it means on the right. So now you know. Again, Mac, you might want a cheat sheet too to know how to use your terminal a little bit better. I don't blame you. I would want to know too. So here it is. Here's more information right here on how to become a super user terminal controller of the Mac. You know what? How about just every single terminal command possible on the Mac OS? Yeah, well, you can find it on the Mac OS. It actually is already on there. You just simply have to ask for it. And he tells you exactly what to type in. Open terminal app. Found here. At fresh, hit escape key twice. And you'll be asked this question. Type yes. And hit enter. And, you'll get, well, this will pop up eventually, but you'll get every command line possible. Hit delete or backspace key to escape it when it's done filling it out. Kind of like that. Cool. It's actually a really neat trick. So there's some cool stuff on Mac. Linux. Here's a cheat sheet that is from beginner to advanced, so you can start at the top and work your way down, just like everybody else. But don't worry, there is a way to just download a command cheat sheet for Linux PDF. Here's the actual PDF, in case you're wondering. Just download it from here as an image. Oh no, actually I downloaded it as a PDF from here, and then convert it to an image. Here is Linux commands. We were wondering why there are so many of these, because there's 3 different forms of Linux that we're covering. So, yeah. Again, Linux commands, all of the ones possible on all Linuxes, which means not all Linuxes have all these, but it's possible on some Linux. Because I found more commands for Linux, I didn't know which ones these were for, and they seem to be for various versions, mostly Arch. Shell commands, if you're needing those, they do exist. You see this is Android, if you're wondering what ADB is. Here's how to get down to shell and how to be using your shell commands on your Android, so that way you can basically get it set up to where you can run Bitcoin on your Android if you want to. And don't worry, here's a complete list of all the commands possible with a detailed guide for your Android. Now, alright, so I really didn't show you how to do this. I really wanted you to get the commands in front of you. I wanted you to have some of the visuals of what to expect with the list of commands to get your Bitcoin node up and running, to get your wallet going, get everything synced up, and to become able to use it, regardless of what major operating system you may be using. So if you're a bit confused of how this can actually change your perspective on terminals and using Bitcoin at a more base level, then let's review what got us here one last time.
First layer, like for the key wrapping, is it still the passphrase, or is it kind of the like a separate layer of encryption? Is it still passphrase encrypted or not?
This is a master key that is held by Ledger. The first one. The first wrapping one is a master key held by Ledger.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So the second question that comes after that is that so that master key is that particular key. Obviously, that particular key is available in all the Ledger devices. So I wanted to know, like, that particular key is also available with Ledger the company, or is it not?
I was, yeah. Should have saw that one coming. The thing I use for my eyes, the shortcut's the same thing as the shortcuts here. So we're just gonna do this again. I'm not gonna mess with my eyes.
First layer, like for the key wrapping, is it still the passphrase, or is it kind of the like a separate layer of encryption? Is it still passphrase encrypted or not?
This is a master key that is held by Ledger. The first one. The first wrapping one is a master key held by Ledger.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So the second question that comes after that is that so that master key is that particular key. Obviously, that particular key is available in all the Ledger devices. So I wanted to know, like, that particular key is also available with Ledger the company, or is it not?
So yeah, this master key is stored within the operating system of different Ledger devices, and at Ledger we have a specific key ceremony process.
Yep, that's why we are covering it. I think the bigger threat is the same criminals behind the previous double-finger crypto stealing stenography are most likely to return with a more sophisticated escalation of an attack to take people's crypto. At the same time, the French intel people could strong-arm Ledger. I would like to remind you that I respond on Twitter, blah blah blah. Yep, come check this out, because in the worst case scenario, the actual plate is already mid-play. They're now the doxing everybody, and a good example of my example was the trainer cache dev getting caught out of nowhere randomly. He was using Ledger, so it was always rigged from the beginning. And yeah, okay. I think that's it. I hope you guys, enjoy your day.